Now, during the 48 years that I've been playing, I started when I was 13, and I didn't know that I would embark on such an incredible journey. And I did not know that the instrument that I chose would lead me on a path where I would go around the world, meet many, many different cultures, and find out exactly what the meaning of rhythm of life really meant, and the empowerment that you can give to others. We live in a world today where we need to nourish each other. I do it through these instruments. I do workshops all over the world. I've recorded on over 200 CDs with many different people in English and in different languages. I put out 8 documentaries, which basically show you the language of the hand and the hand drum. It also shows you all the different rhythms that come from the different cultures. Now, in Cuba, I learned about the bata from the Santeria religion, and the drum, the bata, is a double-headed drum that looks like an hourglass, and they say this is the vessel of the spirits. In Africa, I learned about the Djembe. This is also called the spirit drum. When I went to Australia, I learned about the Yidaki, which in the Western world we call the didgeridoo. Now, that has 38 different dialects, and it's actually made from a tree branch that is hollowed out by the termites. And during the Kora, each mob or Aboriginal tribe, they have different songs that they sing, and they are in these different dialects. Now, this instrument here is played by circular breathing. The technique, storing oxygen in your cheeks, moving it around different parts of your mouth, opening up your throat, your neck, to create an amphitheater sort of chamber for it, also using your diaphragm. This instrument also simulates the sound of the Australian bush animals. So has anyone been to Australia? Okay, so you sort of understand what I'm talking about as far as the animal sounds that you'll get in the bush noises. So what I want to do before I go any further is basically introduce you to the Yidaki. As you can see around me, I bought some other friends that I've traveled with for years, right? Like the American Express and Visa card, I do not leave home without them. I don't. It's pretty difficult. I remember visiting Bermuda back in '86, and I came with something like 38 road cases, the size of this pedestal here. My father told me, you gotta learn to travel light. So I sold it all. And I came back another 20 years later with a container full. So this is something that is very contagious, and I think we'll describe it as passion. This is something that we have to have. No matter what you're doing in life, you have to be passionate about it. So as a Congologist, as a Timbalero, Conguero, they also call me an ethnomusicologist, right? But I am a collector of rhythms. So I'm gonna take you down and introduce you to one of my good friends, I have to say, because it's a spirit stick as well. Anything that you breathe life into is never dead. Like the Djembe, the piece of wood here. This has come down off a Bermuda tree. I have to tell you that. This is a Bermuda tree. When I went to Australia, the first Yidaki I ever saw was played by a man with one arm. He had a prosthetic arm. And I was walking in the street, and I heard this sound. And I gravitated to wherever the sound was coming from, and I found myself standing in the doorway looking up the steps at the guy with the one arm. And that's the arm that had the prostrated hold on, and he was playing. I thought, my goodness. So I rushed in, I said, what is this? And he gave it to me, it was a piece of wood. But it's actually called stringy bark from the gum tree in Australia. Now, this is from Bermuda. I'm not gonna tell you what tree. I mean, this, you know, I have to keep some secrets, right? You agree with me, I have to keep some secrets, but this one here, and because we didn't have the termites to actually hollow it out, I had to make myself a long brace bit that would go all the way down, and through trial and error, splitting it at times, but I found out the perfect way to make them. And they have the perfect mouthpiece. Usually this is with beeswax, but this, for the embouchure that I have, this is perfect. So I'm gonna introduce you to the Yidaki. Good friend of mine. It's my African girlfriend. Her name is Kora. Now, basic design, very simple. It was Africa's gift to the Venetian harp. It has 21 strings made from fishing nylon. Goat skin, again, gets back to the theory of even when deceased, life goes on. The goat skin has become an integral part of this instrument. The back, it's made from a pumpkin wood. Again, you can eat it or you can use it for storing stuff in them, and of course making sound chambers. This is what we've done with this. Apart from these three main components, the wooden bridge, the 21 strings, and it's tuned in E. Now, the beautiful part about the Kora, it has all these different voicings in it. From the bass, when we go walking, it sounds like this. Don't let your mind wander. Stay focused. Stay focused, please. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit down because I see a lot of people are starting to really pay attention to what I'm doing. So I'll sit down, right? And I'm glad to hear you all laugh, right? It means that we all have to learn not to really take life too serious. So I'm going to share a little story with you anyhow before I get to the Kora. Now, I'll tell you one thing before I start. This is West African. In the Republic of Guinea, you find it in Nigeria. You also find it in Ghana. And it's used by griots or soothsayers, people that tell stories and history keepers, right? So this is the Kora. Thank you. Thank you. Rhythm. We all know, we're not going into the big conversation, but we all know that a lot of people got displaced years and years ago, and a lot of them were African. And during this displacement, they took with them the rhythms of their culture. And thanks to the man above, we all got together and we all started to blend in. We had the Spanish, we had the Portuguese, we had the French, and each of us brought something special to these rhythms from Africa. Now in Brazil, they have a thing that is called Samba. The rhythms are called batucada. Now, very much like the Djembe in Bermuda, the rhythms that we have, the Djembes are a fragmented piece of that. Tiny fragmented piece. In Brazil, they have hundreds of bass drums, hundreds of snare drums, and the rhythm itself that they play came from the days of the slavery. But what actually brought that about was the way we were in captivity. Some were chained by the ankles and some were chained ankle to ankle. And this way, the movement, if you listen to the Brazilian rhythms, they have that movement in it, like the shuffle feel. It's beautiful to watch. I mean, there's no other show in the world like Brazilian Carnival. There's no other rhythms like the rhythms of Brazil. And my brother here from Nigeria, we know that a lot of the rhythms are African. Syria, you know what I'm saying, right? They are beautiful from the wrestling rhythms, as you know. They're all beautiful rhythms. But 2/4 instead of 4/4. When I say 4/4, they have a different feel in Brazil. Pita, pitum. They call it the rhythm of the saints. Rhythm of the saints. When you're in Brazil and it's being played, you have to go. You gravitate to it and you follow it. It sounds like this. Now this is a Pandeiro. It's the smallest drum I can carry with me, right? And not be bothered. It does everything I want it to do. It has of the snare drum, when I want to play the drum kit, it has the bass, it has the slap of that, it has the, if I need it, put it all together, which is what we're talking about, the collective. Sounds like this. This is the Pandeiro. So as I was saying before, having played on many albums for many different people, having studied all these years, and I wake up every morning, I'm a student. You say, I'm a student. You just continuously be a student. It's like you don't graduate. You know, you don't graduate. And you have all this knowledge. And you may get a recording session one day and someone would say for you, listen to the tune, you start to play. And you might go in there, you might just start going, and the guy would look at you and go, oops, next, call somebody else, right? You learn to work with people and you learn to serve people. That's the nourishing part I'm talking about. Are you with me? So I'm going to introduce you to the Djembe, and I must tell you, the Djembe is an earth spirit. When you see it being played, we are throwing the earth spirit to the sky. When I play the conga drum, I am pulling the the sky spirit to earth. you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.